Hey y'all ready for part 3? All right, so this is my journey into becoming an attorney. So I left off with I had been accepted into 9 law schools. So I made a decision to go to the University of Florida based on whatever reasons I made that decision. It was really based on the ranking of the law school. And I'm going to be a Florida Gator. I sent off my letter accepting their offer of admission. I drove to Gainesville. I got an apartment. I signed the lease. I left my deposit. I had everything ready and in place so that once I graduated from Florida A&M University, I would be moving to Gainesville to attend University of Florida College of Law. When I came back home after I got the apartment, I went to my mailbox and I opened up my mailbox, and inside was a letter from FSU, from Florida State University College of Law. And inside of that letter was an offer for a $57,000 fellowship, which is a scholarship. Now, $57,000 in 1997 was crazy. That would cover 3 years of tuition. Minimum wage back then was $5.15 an hour. So if you had a full-time job making minimum wage, at the end of the year, you would earn $10,000 and some odd dollars. So an offer of $57,000 for 3 years was crazy. That was enough money to pay all of my expenses for 3 years, and I would not have to work for 3 years. I would be able to focus solely on law school if that was what I wanted to do. So for me, I felt like I won the lottery. All right, so obviously I accepted that offer. I contacted University of Florida and told them that I had to rescind my acceptance. I contacted the apartment complex in Gainesville and asked them to tear up the check. I told them I'm not coming. So now I know I'm going to remain here for 3 years in Tallahassee, and I will be attending Florida State University. Go Seminoles. All right, so now I'm going to fast forward to my last year of law school. In the last year of law school, it is very hectic because we are getting prepared to take the Florida bar. And there's a lot of things that we have to do in preparation for that. There are applications to the Florida Board of Bar Examiners. It is very paperwork intensive. It involves an FBI background check. There are costs involved in that. We have to do all of those things. We have to pay eventually to take the Florida bar. We have to pay for prep courses to study for the Florida bar. And we also obtain, a lot of us who have to obtain bar loans so that we could solely focus on studying for the bar. A bar loan is a loan for students who are studying for the bar examination. It is, back then it was $5,000 to cover the summer so that we would not have to work and we can just focus solely on studying for the bar because it's so intensive. It's a 2-day test. It is extremely intensive. And so we need that time to be able to study. Now, I knew that I was not going to be able to qualify for a Florida bar loan. Well, I mean a bar loan because my credit was horrible. I had messed up my credit in college. And so I know there's no way I'm going to be able to qualify for that. And none of my family members were in a position to be able to help me with that. So I knew that for me, I was going to have to work a full-time job and study for the bar, which would make it extremely difficult for me to ever pass the bar. That's the situation I was in. So I had 3 job interviews lined up. I had a job interview in Chicago, and it was followed by a job interview in Tampa and a job interview in Polk County. I wanted to be a criminal defense attorney. All right, so I flew to Chicago. I had the interview. It went really well. And they told me that they were going to make me an offer and they were going to put it in writing. Okay, so I flew back and then I drove to Tampa to go to the public defender's office in Tampa, Florida. And then I was going to do a filler interview in Polk County, Florida at the Polk County public defender's office. And when I say filler, it's because attorney style interviewing is different. Let me give you an example. In Tampa, when I arrived at the interview, I was in a conference room and it was 10 lawyers and they were all interviewing me at the same time. They were just shooting questions off randomly. Why do you want to work here? That's one question. The next question is, what's your favorite book? The next question is, have you worked in customer service? Like, it's random questions being asked by 10 people. I was not prepared. I did not expect to be interviewed by 10 people, but that's attorney style interviewing. The purpose of that is to see how quickly you can think on your feet. All right. So, yeah, I was like a deer in headlights. I didn't do a good job of that at all. So I already knew I wasn't going to get the job in Tampa. But on my way back to Tallahassee, I was stopping through Polk County because I had a job interview lined up there. Now for me, this is just a filler interview. I don't know where Polk County, Florida is. I don't care anything about this one. I just want to get used to attorney style interviewing. As far as I'm concerned, I'm about to go to Chicago because I know that they're making me an offer, okay? So I left Tampa. I went to Polk County, and as I was driving to through Polk County, I saw someone had like a goat tied to a tree in the front yard. And when I saw that, I was like, nah, there's no way I'm gonna work here, because I'm a metropolitan chick. This is not even my vibe. So I was so unconcerned about that interview in Polk County, I could care less about it. I arrived at that interview an hour late. That's how unconcerned I was about this interview. And so I just assumed that when I got there, they were going to cancel it because I'm an hour late. But they didn't. They were like, welcome. We're happy that you found it. Come on in. And I was like, oh, okay. But in doing this interview, I was so comfortable in the interview. I was talking to the people like they were my friends, like laughing and ha ha ha. And I was just comfortable because I don't want this job. I'm not going to live here. So there was no anxiety. I was just really comfortable and relaxed. This one had 3 attorneys who were interviewing me, and so I just left 10. 3, that's a breeze. So I didn't care about their questions. I was comfortable and I was relaxed, and so I was able to easily answer their questions. And I'm just, chilling. And they said they're gonna make me an offer. Okay, what's the offer? They said, first, that they'll pay me to move down here. They're going to pay all of my moving expenses to move from Tallahassee to Polk County, Florida. Okay. And then they said they are going to pay me to study for the Florida bar. That they're going to put me in an office with a computer, and I have my study materials, and all they want me to do for the next 2.5 months is study for the Florida bar. And they're going to pay me $2,500 a month to do it. And then the last 2 weeks before the bar, they'll let me work from home to prepare for the bar, and they'll pay for it. Of course, they're going to pay me my salary. And then once I pass the Florida bar, they'll give me my attorney salary. I'll be bumped up to an attorney salary. Remember I said I couldn't get a bar loan, and that I was going to be forced to have to work a full-time job. When I went back to Tallahassee, they told me they'll give me a few days to think about it. They were going to put it in writing. I went back to Tallahassee and I started asking my classmates what their offers were and what type of jobs they were getting. And I was just trying to figure out, did they receive the type of offer that I received? Because I'd never heard of an offer, you're going to pay me to study. I never heard of that. And they had never heard of it either. So I can get a bar loan, which is $5,000, money that I would have to pay back. But you're going to pay me what would end up being $6,250 to sit in an office and study. I'm working a full-time job, but my full-time job is for me to study for the Florida bar. Obviously, I'm going to Polk County, Florida, right? So I arrive in Polk County, Florida, and they paid for me to move. And I get here, and they put me in an office, and all I could do was study because I didn't know anyone. I'm sitting in a room with people, in an office filled with people I don't know. I'm in my own office, but all I have is a computer and my study materials, and I was bored out of my mind. I was so bored that all I could do was open the book and study. After I got finished studying all day at work, then I would go to Tampa and I would take the prep course for the Florida bar. So I did that in the evening. So for 2 months, all I did all day was study for the Florida bar, because I'm in an environment, an unknown land where I don't know anybody. And I didn't have anything else to do but study. But 2 weeks before, and this is, understand that once I graduated from law school, the Florida bar exam was going to be 2.5 months later. All right, so these first 2 months, all day long, all I'm doing is studying, because I don't know anyone. And there's nothing else for me to do. When they sent me home 2 weeks before the bar, I got nothing accomplished. Nothing. What I did not know about myself is that I did not have the discipline to sit at home for 2 weeks and study for the Florida bar. I had so many distractions. I had my phone, I had my bed, I had my car, I just had so many distractions that there was no way that I was going to be me, that I was going to be able to focus on the Florida bar. And I didn't do anything those last 2 weeks. And I came to understand that the only reason that I passed the bar exam when I took it, which was 2 weeks later, the only reason was because I was in a room in a foreign space where I didn't know anybody, and all I could do was study. This is what I'm going to tell you about this situation. Because I'm telling you about when you're on the path that God has set for you. Okay, that's what we're talking about. He will redirect your footsteps. So what that looks like is, I'm going to University of Florida based on these artificial standards, but he redirects me to Florida State because that's where the provision is. I'm going to Chicago for a job, but he redirects my footsteps, and this thing that was only supposed to be a filler interview is where the provision was. When you're on his path is what I'm trying to tell you. The provision is going to be there. It's going to be there. What we try to do is we try to create our own paths based on our own reasons and our own needs. But God knew me better than I knew myself, and he knows you better than you know yourself. He knew that if I had gotten a bar loan, that I did not have the discipline to stay at home and study. So he had to put me in an environment where I didn't know anyone so that I could do what it is that he called me to do. Listen, stay on the path.